informative. So I'll turn it over to Kim.
All right. We're so excited y'all are here, as Marshall said, and I'm so thankful to, I think one of the cool things is I've just gotten to know so many new people through Plexus, and even just like, you and I already knew each other, but just having that bond and connection and just meeting Carrie, and like, I don't even know that we've hung out in person, I don't know, but I feel like I'm super excited. Yeah, that's right. But that's what's so cool is it's like, you talk to someone online and you're like best friends. But anyway, I'm just honored that the three of us we all have different stories, and we really just wanted to share our experience, our health journeys really with y'all. So this is Dr. Carrie Jones.
Want me to go first?
No, I was just
okay,
good. Aubrey Schlackman and Kim Embry, and we're RDHs, so we're all health professionals, which RDH is registered dental hygienist. You can silly say that.
I know. But
anyway, yeah, would you like to go first?
Yeah, I can go first. So, I first heard about Plexus. I had like 4 or 5 friends on Facebook who were doing Plexus. And I'd had some digestive issues for a while, about 6 years. And I was trying to do everything just through controlling it with food. You know, be healthy, work out, and just control it with your diet. So I was gluten-free and dairy-free and soy-free and no caffeine and no chocolate and, you know, just a whole gamut of things. And so eating out was not a whole lot of fun. And it still wasn't getting any better. And so I had symptoms like I was always either constipated or I had diarrhea and I had bloating and gas, and I was miserable, and then nothing got better. And I went to my doctor, and he wasn't really, he gave me some things that I could try over the counter, but the couple of things that I did try didn't really seem to really help with much. And certainly it was more of a masking of symptoms more than like controlling it and curing it, or at least helping it at the root cause. And so then it just continued to get worse. I went to a gastroenterologist, and they still weren't able to really help me understand much on what I could do. They're like, well, you've just got some mild symptoms. You don't have, Crohn's or anything like that. So there's really not a whole lot, we can do. We can give you this prescription for a medication, but that's about it. And at the time I was 27, and I really didn't want to be on a medication for, the rest of my life if this was going to be the journey that I was on. So I really wanted to try and find something that was more natural. And at that point, my husband and I decided to try Plexus. And right now we're on one income. I'm putting him through chiropractic school. So, we just had a limited budget. And so it was like, you get 3 months to try this. And if it doesn't help, that's it. Like, that's all you got. And I was like, okay, well, by 3 months, if it doesn't do something, then that's just going to suck. But that's just life. So I got on the triplex combo, which is what we'll mostly be talking about here today. And in 3 weeks, pretty much all of my symptoms went away from the last 6 to 7 years. And so that's when I knew this is something that I have to stay on this. Like, it doesn't matter what I have to do. So that's when I decided to sign up under the ambassador here. Her name's Amy, and she's under Aaron Key. And so I decided to sign up with someone local, even though I had, like I said, a couple of friends all over the place that were doing Plexus. But I was like, I'm going to sign up wholesale and be an ambassador so that I can get my products covered, so that I don't have to worry about if our budget tanks 1 month because I didn't make enough money at my normal dental hygiene job. Then I don't have to worry about not being able to do the products. So at that point, I kind of just went in all full force, and my first month I got my products covered. And so that's when Brian and I kind of looked at each other and were like, this is something that could be substantial. And so that's when I kind of started to push ahead and really try to make some extra income. And now at this point, I've been doing this for 9 months now, I think. And I just got cut back as a dental hygienist, and now instead of working 5 days a week, I just work 3 days a week. And so that's been awesome. And it's just allowing more opportunities just for my own personal life, but just to, get to be with Brian more and with how much he studies, and I get to do Plexus more, so we'll see what happens, but yeah, so it's been great, and I feel great, like I've never felt healthier, so.
Yay.
All right. Okay, so I, back in January of 2015, right, between January and May of that year, work was very, very stressful. My husband was starting up two new businesses, which are great now, but when you're starting that up, that takes a lot of income and money and time, and it's very, very stressful. So I was extra stressed, which I binge eat when I get stressed. So I was doing a lot of that. And I take care of, she had mentioned Erin Key, and I've taken care of her kiddos probably for 7 or 8 years now. And so in January, she had dropped off some samples, and like I did with most supplements and samples of goodies like that, I just, kind of put them off to the side, didn't really think much about it, because in medical school, they don't teach you anything about supplements. I mean, they just, it's just not part of it. So, and in my mind, I just always thought, that they were all placebo, and that they just really weren't going to work. Exactly. So I didn't think much about it. Well, we got to May, and I was, 25 pounds heavier. I literally weighed what I weighed at the end of my last pregnancy. And when I was trying to put on shorts to go to baseball games, I'm like, nothing is fitting. This is ridiculous. Which made me more depressed and more anxious and more irritable, and I was not sleeping, and I was just a mess. And so one morning, I got on that scale, I saw what the number was, and I went into my closet, and I passed the sack of samples that sort of just jumped out at me again. And so I emailed Erin and said, what do I need to do? This is what I'm looking for. I'm tired, I'm depressed, I'm not what I want to weigh, and just tell me what to do, and I'll try it for a couple of months. And so she had me start the Triplex, which we'll talk about, but it's Slim, the probiotic, and the BioCleanse. And after a week or so, and it was probably even before that, but I really did realize, wow, I have been sleeping better. I'm actually happier. I have more energy. I'm able to stay up and not, pass out at night. I'm waking up before my alarm goes off, and I'm actually, refreshed. So I was sleeping better, more energy. I had horrible GI stuff too, but didn't even realize that it was not normal to not have those, not pooping every day. Just say that. So now I actually was, and I thought, wow, this is really great. I'm not ever bloated. My stomach actually not uncomfortable all the time. And when I would eat, I felt normal afterwards. So I felt overall great. My blood pressure too had creeped up over those past 6 months to where I really should have been on blood pressure medicine. And I did not want to do that either, because even though I'm in my 40s, I still didn't want to be on medicine, because I'd seen my dad have side effects from those medications. So I just wanted to do something else. And so after the first month, because I felt so great, and I thought, I need to keep doing this, and my blood pressure had actually, creeped down to pretty much normal levels, I just said, okay, I want to keep taking this. And we had to watch money still, so I said, what's the cheapest way I can do it? And she said, sign up. And I said, oh, no. I don't sell stuff. I don't know anything about it. I don't have time. And my husband's a financial guy too, and he's like, no way. No. And so, but we met with Erin, and she, kind of went through everything, and there really was no catch and no obligation. So I said, okay, I'll do it. And so I signed up in the middle of July last year, and people saw a difference in me. Everyone at work was like, what? What are you on? That's what they said. And so people did notice, and they started asking, and so I just simply shared what it was, and I ended up with a few customers, and so after a month or two, I was getting this extra paycheck that was paying for these products, and I thought, wow, and I was going to events and meeting more people, and just decided to really run with it, and it's been a lot of fun, and I feel better than I probably ever have, and sleeping, and my blood pressure's great. My GI stuff's good.
That's
I can run around and chase children all day long.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good. That's my story.
Yay.
And my husband's doing it now too, and he's much better. His
Yeah.
allergies are better.
Mine
He's
too.
sleeping. And he's not as grumpy.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. That's awesome. I guess I'll go now. Your turn. Try to do the 5-minute version. So my story starts. Well, I have to give you some background for y'all to know what Plexus has done for me. Prior to a mission trip I took in 2010, I never had health issues. I was the epitome of high energy, to say the least. Just always felt good, just burning my candle at both ends, and never knew that that's something I needed to be grateful for until I have gotten back from a trip to Africa, and my health began to decline. It really did start out with some stomach issues, even though that's something I'd always had. I just always, I think a lot of us just think it's normal to have stomach trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So, without going into the long details of it, that led to a 4 to 5 year period of continually getting worse and seeing every doctor under the sun, every specialist. I just kept being told chronic fatigue and this deficiency and that deficiency. But I think, too, because I had been overseas quite a bit on mission trips, they, of course, naturally went there first, infectious disease, and then it turned into neurological. It just really was a scary journey for me because I was like, okay, how to go from that to this? But I really was getting worse, and over time it did affect my daily life and began to keep me from doing the things that I was passionate about and loved. And I actually was in dental hygiene school in the middle of that, which is crazy. But so all that to say, I just kept getting more and more sick. I was just digestive issues. I started having all these food allergies, and I was a lot like them. Like, I didn't want to just be put on, a pill to just give me energy, or I think one of the only pills they want to put me on was like antidepressant. I'm like, I'm not sad. I'm tired. I'm happy. I want to feel like myself again. And that just kind of scared me. I think those serve a purpose for people in seasons, but I'm certainly not opposed to medicine, but I just didn't feel right about that. I think I just wanted someone to help me on a root, get to the root cause. Mm-hmm. And it took me a lot of years to find that. And so the path that I ended up going down was more of a natural road. Met with naturopath, found a doctor that began to do tests that I had never, really heard of, and just began to uncover some things. And so, gosh, talk about supplements. I was about supplemented out. I would go to my naturopath and loved her, but I would walk out with like 40 things to take in a day.
Oh,
but when you're desperate and you're deficient and you're weak and you're sick, you'll do whatever it takes. Mm-hmm. And so went down that road for a long time. And in the midst of this, God was still good and brought me my husband that I had been waiting for a long time. And I actually just totally the Lord, but He gave me lots of energy for my wedding and my honeymoon. And I just really did enjoy that season in the midst of still struggling with my health. And of course, He knew from day one what I was, I guess, just really what I was going through, but didn't really see it, firsthand until we were married. And then I really declined in that first year of our marriage. And so He was just like, we've got to do something. This is not good. So we went to every length possible, and I ended up at an alternative medicine doctor. And what they ended up discovering was that I actually had, I think which was the big mystery with my health issues, was I actually had 2 co-infections that were Lyme disease related. And I had been tested for Lyme in that very first doctor, but a lot of times the specific co-infections don't show up in just the regular blood test. So that was scary. And, with that found out I had all these toxic things going on, and started hearing things like leaky gut. And I'm like, what in the world? What's leaking? This is weird. I don't know. But now, of course, all that to say, that whole journey led me to really study gut health and infection and just how it's all related, and just disease and where it comes from. And it just began to wreak havoc, even more so in my body. So we, like I said, we were pretty desperate to get help. So we ended up having me do all these treatments that involved, I went daily. It was hard. It was very financially draining. It was, I had pretty much a needle somewhere in me every day. It was some form of IV, vitamins, trying to put me full of stuff to kill some of the Lyme infection, and just a lot of praying. And again, it's still in that process, even through this doctor, learn more and more about, he even had me on top of the supplements. And one of the big things was a really, really expensive probiotic. And at this point, I've been on some of the, what they say, the best probiotics. So we were like, okay, we'll do this for a while. And in the midst of that, a friend had reached out to me about Plexus, who had prayed for me for years just to be healed and get well. And she was like, I really think you need to look into this, because she knew I had more of a tendency to treat it naturally. And I was just overwhelmed at the time. So I was like, hey, I really appreciate it. I'll look into it at some point, but I'm just going to go through these treatments and we'll get back to you. Well, we got to the end of that. Really wasn't feeling any different. Gave it time. And then I was like, can I try Plexus now? Marshall was like, whatever, I don't care. Like, let's do it. You know, at that point, what did I have to lose? And so, again, though, I did do my research and had learned so much about how important to look at ingredients of things. And I was a lot like you had said, had to become dairy-free, soy-free, nut-free, corn-free, gluten-free, everything-free. Marshall says taste-free. So it was really interesting cooking in our home because I was like, I'm sorry, I have to make you a separate meal, but it was just real wild. But again, when you want to get well, you'll do anything. And so, I actually started out with the pink drink, because of course I was desperate for energy and didn't even realize or know that I had blood sugar issues. But even within the first day, I've noticed like more of a balance and alertness and energy. And then once I finished out some of my other supplements, I started on the BioCleanse and probiotic. And so, over the past year and a half, I don't struggle anymore with my food allergies. My energy level just began to shoot up. I definitely gave it time, stuck with it, and I feel more like myself than I have in a long, long time. Back up a little, when I first found out I had Lyme disease, granted we'd just been married maybe not a real long time, but we knew we wanted a family pretty soon because we got married older. And so he was just like, you're so sick, you're so deficient, like I wouldn't recommend. And it wasn't that I couldn't have a child, it was just for someone to tell you that, like you're that weak and your immune system isn't strong enough, it was very, very devastating for us to hear that, because we were just like, okay, you know. And so praise the Lord, you know, now we're having a child and I've just been so much healthier. My pregnancy's been healthy. I've been amazed at just how well I've done through this. And I think you had mentioned that you have been on it in breastfeeding. And so I'm just excited to just see, I just love how it has just helped so many other people. And I think Marshall and I are similar. We just wanted the discount, to be honest. We became ambassadors, but to see the change in my health, it's hard not to be passionate about it. And I'm one of those, I'll tell you about anything. Like, anything I find out that's good, I'm going to tell you. So we just, our friends and family began to see such a difference in my health and just the change that just naturally started sharing. And now we're on a mission to share with anyone that it can help and just educate and continue to learn. So that's my story. And thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then what we